What I want to talk about tonight a little bit is the 2010 Jamboree. That was a Jamboree I attended as a leader, and got kind of started on a collection for the 2010 Jamboree, and then over time started adding to it. And I think it's probably gotten a little out of hand by now. But what first want to start off saying I am by no means an expert on this, and what we're going to talk about tonight um, is the different ways and different collections that I've seen and how people collect jamborees overall. I'm sure most people, most of us will have a collection that kind of starts with trading post issues, and that you've got a neckerchief and a couple of the patches from various jamborees, and that may be what your jamboree collection consists of. And then sometimes you can go into different, having region collections and an area collection, and then some kind of subcap issues. And then some people like to look at the staff issues and different activities and exhibits that are at the Jamboree. Then, of course, you've always got your Order of the Arrow issues. And then lastly, whatever the councils have put out for that particular year. Tonight, in 2010, there was just so many patches. I think the best I can tell, there were roughly a little over 3,000 different patches that were issued for that particular Jamboree. We're going to stick to the region and staff and the national OA issues tonight. The council issues are somewhere around 2,600 different pieces for that. We'll look at that at some other point. But to start with, I'm going to kind of look at the trading post issues. These were the back patch. The one at the very top up here is the participant patch. It was a little bit smaller. The adult leaders had the larger. Then, of course, you've got the staff patch. Trading post also had these items. The big, just different things that they could have. This one over here was one of my favorites, Mike Rose patch, the Dirty Jobs. I always kind of liked that one. Then, of course, you had the patch of the day. And I remember having to go to the trading post every day to get whatever the patch of the day was, so that you'd have all 11 of them. And hopefully you got there before they ran out. The other thing that was kind of neat with this one, they did a patch, this set right here, that was for all 21 subcamps, and of course formed the number 100 since it was the 100th anniversary. You also had this was the last Jamboree at Fort AP Hill, so they had the AP Hill CSP, and the 2010, that's the was kind of how the numbers were laid out for every different unit. You had two different versions of neckerchiefs in the trading post. You had the map one, and then the one on the left here is the standard that has the 100 and the same 21 subcamps on it as well. And there was a staff version that I just didn't put in this slide. You also had a big back patch that you could get. It's kind of cool. It's a lot bigger than you look like until you when you see a picture of it. You could also buy the different 4 region patches from the trading post. And this one I am not sure about. I found this one later. And from what I understand, this was a manufacturer sample. Really not sure if this was ever sold in the trading post or were just given out to people. One thing, as I mentioned, I am by no means an expert on these different patches. And one thing that I would like to do, I like to understand some of the history behind them. And some of it I've got, but if you know something about a particular patch or a particular event, my email is on the email John sent you on the title slide. If you would email me information about that, I would really appreciate it, because I'm trying to put together, I put some details with it when I have it. So this is one I don't particularly know but that's what I understand it to be, a manufacturer sample. This was my troop. I was Troop 1724 out of Old North State Council, and we were the River Otters. The other thing that we had was the different activity that the boys could earn, the rockers for their patch. And then our guys got enough for the leaders to get 100% program award. So that was pretty cool. Made us push them all the whole time they were there to be involved in program. Here's just another, it's not really patches, but this was another thing that I'd collected from the Jamboree, was the meal tickets and your name badge that you could carry with you on your lanyard wherever you went. The other thing that you could get, not necessarily at the trading post, but were the patches for the Chief Scout Executive, the Jamboree Director, and the Commissioner. And the one over on the bottom left is one I found later that is a Fort A.P. Hill issue. It's got the FAPH on there. When you go into the regions, these were the national trading post region patches, but there were also sometimes the regions did a few other ones themselves that weren't in the trading post. A good example is the one on the left is the trading post issue for the southern region, where the one on the right has a red mylar border and a little darker background. From what I'm told, was the staff version of that. Of course, the Western region, the top left was the trading post issue. You had a gold bordered one on the right, and then there had one for the duty officer, and then they actually produced a JSB for the headquarters and also for their regional commissioners with different sub camps. Now, sub camp 2 went at it full bore. The first patch on the top left says sub camp 2 staff, and when you look at all the other different things, I'm not sure what you would be as generic staff, because they have covered just about everything that's imaginable, and had to even go over to another slide and going on through environmental and maintenance. But that was a pretty intensive set to put together. I had to, for a long time, I was still missing 2 and finally found those one day. Here's a few other ones. Subcap 10, 11, 8 had a pair, and then the Northeast region down the bottom right had something going on at the Jamboree, and that was the patch for it. And then you got the commissary for, I think that was Subcamp 19 in the top right corner. Subcamp 17, the Carolina Connection, I think, is a patch that was issued out of the Mecklenburg Council in Charlotte. And then it was nice to know that that was the sub camp I was in, and the Area 7 had its own mail carriers. I didn't realize that during the Jamboree, but there's the patch to prove it. Southern region also did a big food drive during the Jamboree to help the Caroline County, and that was the big back patch for that. Also had some subcamp patches for, I love this one, the Rough Rider Subcamp 5 with this guy riding a pig. That one was caught my eye one day when I saw it on eBay. You had Subcamp 7 and 16 also. Subcamp 17 and Area 7 also produced this set of 6 different ships. And I am not positive what each one was for. Maybe one of you guys will know what you did to get each of the 6 different patches and can fill me in on that information. Next thing I'm going to go into a little bit is some of the patches from the program activities and the staff issues. This was the set for the United States Postal Service, the three different JSPs that they issued. And I remember I kind of stumbled on this the first full day, get up that morning on Monday morning and started wandering out. And I stumbled on the first day of issue ceremony for the new 44-cent scouting stamp, and went through the ceremony, got the postmark and all the signatures from the people you can see that were on the program there. And that was pretty neat to be a part of. And then there, in addition to the three JSPs, there also was a first day of issue patch that looked like the stamp that I finally got a hold of one of those that actually somebody had framed and put on a page of the stamps. I like that one. I got that sitting in my office. These were some of the arena show staff and behind the scenes tour patches that were issued. And then you had one for the staff that was involved in the regional stage shows. Boys Life, of course, had exhibits and had a couple JSPs and a couple of pocket patches. And then they also sponsored the DEA along with their anti-drug program that they were running. This was, of course, one of my favorite ones here, the financial services. And these were the 6 JSPs that the financial services had. And the one in the middle, just by the little hole in the middle, I think was one that went on their lanyard that they would wear. Recently, I picked up that one in the bottom right corner. I'm not sure if it fit in with these or what the story was on it, but it seemed to, and had the backing that led me to believe that it was an official patch. But I hadn't seen it until about within the last year. This was a set for the metal recycling exhibit, and these the black border Baden-Powell was pretty common, and I think they gave out some of these when you toured their exhibit. I got these from the one of the guys that was running the exhibit out of Texas, and I can't remember all the details, but I've got his email explaining it to me on the back of that sheet. So if I need to look at it, I can tell. And that's what I'm trying to do, where I can get more detail. But the gold Mylar border set was for his staff that helped with that. Then, of course, you had the Mysterium Compass at this Jamboree, which was kind of in the center of Fort A.P. Hill, and was a pretty neat event that was run by the OA Service Corps. And it was opened only to youth. I'm really not sure everything that went on in there, but it was inside a big tent type building, and the boys seemed to really like it. But here was a couple of the patches. This is not all of them. There was one that went on had a hole that went on your lanyard that hopefully by next Monday night I will have, but we will see when that auction ends. And then there was the round one, the Compass Rose. There was a gold Mylar border one of those. Some of the different things, you had a couple of the pocket flaps for the hometown news that each troop had one of their boys that would write articles and send back to their local newspapers. There's also a couple JSPs for that I do not have, still looking for those. You've got ISCA, of course, had their information booth and had a patch and then a staff patch for that. Here's a few other ones. There was a leaders update. There was a couple of JSPs for us on the right. The white ghost on the left is for the Court of Flags, and there's 2 other ones that went in that particular set that I'm still kind of looking for. You had administration and then the Joint Task Force patch. One of the really neat areas at this jamboree was the conservation area, and everybody, you kind of went down through a trail. There was all kinds of different exhibits along that trail, but you had to work on the right. You can see your passport, and once you got all the stamps for your passport, you got the green patch on the left, and that was, I probably spent 3 or 4 hours in there going through all the different exhibits that they had. That was very worthwhile. And then, of course, the gold border is what the staff for the conservation area receives. There was another event there called the Technology Quest, and you had the participants got the light blue bordered patch, and the staff had the gold Mylar border, and I have seen a red border one, but I do not have it. Here's a couple other ones that there were exhibits for, introducing some of these. We've been kind of working with inventing and robotics merit badges for a while now, but in 2010, these were just coming out, so that there was a booth promoting these two different merit badges, and they were giving out patches for that. Close to the Mysterium Compass was a disabilities awareness exhibit. And I can't remember if that was actually you could work on the disabilities merit badge, or if it was just an exhibit to kind of go through some of the challenges. But I remember doing that, and it was pretty interesting the way everything was set up. And it's a lot like you teach the disabilities awareness merit badge. There was also the hot air balloon staff. This was their set. And the one in the bottom left corner is a two-sided patch, which was really cool. And what I've got over on the far left is the back side of that patch. I'm assuming it's the back because it's got the little hologram sticker on that side. But this is what the hot air balloon staff, that was their set. And here was a few other of the exhibits. Brownsea Island, that's the only patch I've seen. I went through the exhibit, but I'm not sure if the boys that went through it, if they received any other kind of patch or not. Down below that, there was a backcountry exhibit, and that's the patch for it. And a few of the National Museum different exhibit patches that were given out. There were a lot of the different religions there in exhibit booths, and this was the Catholic exhibit or patches. And if you went through to the booth, you got the one on the bottom left, and then the other three are for the national chair, vice chair, and for the chaplain. And you had also the Methodists had two different patches that they gave out, kind of promoting their Nothing But Nets program that was one of their ministries. And the National Association of Presbyterian Scouters, you've got a LDS patch down on the bottom left. And then there's actually another LDS patch that I don't have at the moment, but it should be on the way. So hopefully I'll have that one soon. And then you can see the Eastern Orthodox and the Baptist Association patches. Seems like most of the Jewish patches come out of Suffolk County, which are the two on the far left. And they also produced the little lodge flap over there that I'm not sure exactly the history behind that. The one on the bottom in the middle came out of Monmouth Council, and they also, several of their JSPs they had a set of Jewish JSPs. So those are the two councils that I saw different Jewish patches coming out of. The two on the top, the middle, and the right, the achievement and the award, I'm not sure if those were national issues or if that came out of one of these councils. So if anybody's got any information on those two, I would appreciate it. Salvation Army also were giving out patches. Those seem to be rather standard patches. Looks like some of the other jamborees, but these are the two versions of it. One of the other exhibits was Family Search, and the one on the left with the white tree is the staff patch, and the ghosted tree is what people, participants got that went through that exhibit. You also had Alpha Phi Omega had a booth, and these were different pieces that you could get, and the center. I'm not sure how you got the outside pieces. All I had from the Jamboree that I brought back was the center. Like I say, there's a variety of exhibits. The one on the left is, I'm assuming, from the Forestry Service, but that is the New Mexico version with the chili peppers and the New Mexico sun on there. There was a conservation and water safety exhibit put on by the Corps of Engineers, and that's a two-piece patch. You had a top and a bottom. Of course, the recycling, the U.S. Army had an etymology group that went through different exhibits there. I missed out on the Dutch oven cooking exhibit. I wish I'd have found that one. And then, of course, you had the patch that, get my glasses on, see what it says down there. Shakespeare had for that. They were one of the fishing merit badge sponsors, and they had a booth and gave out those patches. Of course, you had these different ones. I remember the National Wild Turkey Federation was a pretty interesting program that you went through, and you earned these four little squares down here for different things that you would do. And there was one other piece that I don't have that I think went with that. So those are different exhibit patches that just you could find. A lot of them, if you just visited the exhibit, you got them. Also a patch for the international exhibits, and the Elks and the American Legion gave out one, and then there's one over here on the bottom left for the International Friendship Fund. Of course, NISA always has a presence, and these were the back patch and the participant issues that they could get, the JSP, the flap, and then a lifetime member flap. And then we have the staff versions of that. What I see most of the time, and what was listed in ISCA, is this gold Mylar version on the left. The same guy that I got the ones on the right from the same guy that did the metal recycling exhibit, and I have not seen the silver Mylar anywhere. I don't know what exactly why you had two different staff borders, but what I usually see is the gold Mylar borders being offered. I just picked these two patches up recently, and I am not sure what they are for. If these are for military veterans, if anybody knows, I would love to know who got these and why. Of course, the Merit Badge Midway was a happening place at the Jamboree, and these are the three patches. You had the one in the middle was the participant, and headquarters, and Merit Badge staff. And we'll kind of run through. There were three different patches for the aviation merit badge. You had the hang glider and the jet on the right, and then the staff patch was the jet on the bottom left. Electronics and electricity merit badges, these were the patches. They issued a JSP for each of them, plus a pocket patch. And of course, electricity had the participant, the patch they got, plus there was the staff. I'm not sure that electronics got a patch for taking that merit badge. You had Scouting Heritage on the left, and then the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service issued these two patches. And talking to the guy that I got these from, he was out of the DC office, and they ran the fishing merit badge, fly fishing, and fish and wildlife management. And the patches did not come in for those merit badges in time. Don't know if they ever were ordered or what. I hadn't seen any. So this is what they gave out to all three of these merit badges, the one on the left, and then he gave the staff for those merit badges, the one on the right. Boys Life sponsored and taught reading merit badge. That was the JSP on the top. Then you had geology and golf merit badge. A couple of the other ones here, landscape architecture and cinematography. And then, of course, on the right, you've got chemistry merit badge. I think the participants got the beaker on top is if they completed the merit badge, and then the ones staff was the goggles. Now, of course, ISCA taught collections merit badge in the Jamboree, and that was the participant on the left, the red border, and the gold mile order. Mile orders for the staff. And of course, if they were going to produce some patches, you would expect these guys would be on top of it. This is the set that that they had, and you see the staff patches, the round one on the top, and a little smaller one for the participants that took collecting merit badge. And then they had a gold border JSP type patch that was just for the staff, that was a thank you, and then a gold mylar that this is what was given to the ISCA staff at the end of the Jamboree. It was kind of in this, that was the other side of that particular brochure folder there. The JSPs that they issued they were trying to show different ways you can do patches. And of course, the BSA 2010 logo was riveted on in the middle of these patches. And then if you look on the right side, it had a small leather patch that was, I don't know exactly how it's attached. I'm assuming it's glued because there's nothing on the back side, and it gives the email address for ISCA. I thought those were a pretty cool set. We had three different, a red, white, and blue, or red, gray, and blue, and then a Mylar set. A couple years ago, I ran across these and started finding them, and there's, to me, was no evidence that that little leather patch was glued or anything. I don't know if this was some that just they made it two different ways or what, but I found these actually most of those I found at the Chris Jensen's tradery about 5 years ago in a dollar bin somewhere. And then I think I picked up the fifth one I was missing later on, but I don't know if those just didn't get the leather one or not, but I've seen several of them without that over the years. Stamp collecting merit badge. These are the patches for that and for Scouts on Stamps group. And railroading merit badge, these were the three staff JSPs, and it was, I'm not really sure how they got it like this, but if you'll notice the two purple on the top, one has a purple, orange, and yellow clouds and the light, and then the other one has a purple, pink, and yellow cloud. And then the staff one down on the bottom with the gold mylar was had the pink cloud in it. There's one more, I think, to this set in the rounds from what I've seen, but in the list, but I have not seen what that looks like. The OA Service Corps produced 4 patches very similar to this. Fortunately, I've only got one at this point, so, but there's 3 additional ones for this that were kind of the armband type patches. They also had these commemorative patches that came in the little folder at the bottom, that one's from Mysterium Compass, the Service Corps, is a thank you, and one that was just plain that I found that was in that in the red folder below. The pace set, OA pace setters issued this particular set, and in the pocket patch for the Troop Commitment to Excellence Award. The top two patches on this were for the OA Indian Village staff, and then the Arrowhead one below. I'm not sure if participants got that or who would have gotten that at the Jamboree, but these are the three for the OA Indian Village. This was kind of an interesting one I came across. I'm not sure that this is an official Jamboree issue, but this is the lodge out of Amarillo, Texas, and it was their National Jamboree 2010 tour. So I added that to my collection. And of course, this was for the administrative services for the OA that they issued for the Jamboree. And then I'm assuming the one on the left is for the Southern Region Area 4. But it went through, and these were the different things the OA Service Corps was involved with the Service Corps, Mysterium Compass, and the OA Indian Village. And then first, I couldn't figure out what was going on with the one on the right because it's got 2009 on it. But then it kind of finally figured out that that was the planning conference in 2009 for the 2010 Jamboree. Now, some of the just pure staff patches for the Jamboree, of course, we'll start with the trading post. This was actually a pretty good exercise for me because I thought I had all of these until I started laying them out and realized that I was missing a blue Mylar border for the Trading Post C staff that hopefully has been rectified, and that I was missing yellow Mylar for the Trading Post D staff. I'm not sure why they didn't have three, but they only ended up with two patches. From what I understand, these were the JSPs that the Trading Post staff were issued for the Jamboree. Not sure why they were rectangular, but that's what I understood. Then you had this set that was what I was told. These were sold in certain scout shops after the Jamboree, that they didn't arrive in time and they had to wear the rectangular ones. But I didn't really pay that close of attention when I was there. So if anybody knows the real story on that, please pass it along. These were some from the emergency services group, fire, medical, communications, and the police. Then you had your safety service staff, and they had a pretty good size. That's about a 10 or 12 inch back patch, and because those are 4-inch, 4.5 inch pocket patches on the right. And then these were some other ones that kind of went along with that. You had your enterprise risk management group, your emergency medical services, and you had one venture crew that helped out. There's actually another border on that one that I've not been able to find anywhere. Then you had a couple of different medical groups. You had the West Region had a series of JSPs on the left, and then the Southern Region had a couple different patches for their medical hubs, and some of the subcamps had different JSPs for their medical groups. One I've seen is pretty standard, the Long Street Clinic, and then the Explorer Post JSP that helped with that. Also had the, I'm not sure exactly why, but you had veterinary staff there, and then you had dental staff as well as the pharmacy staff, which I think Mike Thigpen was a part of the pharmacy staff for, and that's where that patch on the bottom came from. There's one other one that looks like the border pestle that I'm looking for. I had let get away from me the other day. Then you had the chaplain staff, which had these patches. Your physical arrangements group had a large back patch. I don't have anything I could put it in notebook wise. That's I got to figure out what to do with that big one. And then, of course, they went into the various environmental patches that I have come across. Both the liquid and solid waste. I have seen one that has staff on it, and I'm not sure why there would be a staff and a non-staff of that, because I would think, I don't know if they had, if you misbehaved as a youth participant, you got to work with these guys and got one of those patches or not. But that I have seen those patches. You had a physical arrangements, JSP, had some purchasing. Of course, your bus transportation, which was a big deal there. And I love those bus drivers. I found this one on the bottom right, and I'm not sure what counterinsurgency staff actually does, but I thought it was kind of interesting. So I picked that one up, but if anybody again knows what that's for, I would love to know. Different dining services, and I know the first time I saw the cake and donut patch, it made me hungry, and I thought I got to have that patch. But you've got your different dining halls that they had, and the JSP for that. Of course, you had the photo team that went around and took pictures of everything, and then you've got your action centers, and these were the four. There were 4 action centers, and you had archery, and your archery staff, and then the round on the bottom is what the participants received. Southern region had a big one. The one on the bottom I've always thought is really neat. The action, the air rifle staff produced that from the southern region. Then the central region had their air rifle JSPs and a couple rounds. Camp Thunder and the Junior Shooting Sports, National Shooting Sports Foundation produced those, and there's two different rockers that went with that shooting sports. You had a variety of climbing and buckskin games and motocross that they had different patches for. Of course, you got your boating staff, and 2 different there, and then one of the probably the prettiest patches that they did was the SCUBA patch, and then you got the 2 small pocket patches, and they had also a back patch that matches the SCUBA on the right. Not sure what these patches were for. It looks like a standard issue that they came up with that hit a lot of the different areas, but it looks like something National produced or a generic that you could get. These are some spoof patches, but I've always thought they were kind of neat for the visitors and the attendees. And that's it.
Mickey, I can tell you what those back 2 slides, those 10 or 12, you said were like national issues.
Uh-huh.
Those were given out by Dr. Diamond. He had those made.
This one
he had those made and gave to each. He was a doctor, and he got them made, and he gave them to each group, like the physician and a nurse and whatever. But those were made by Dr. Diamond.
Okay, he must have been in subcamp 20 and 21.
I'm not sure.
Because you got troop leaders and subcamp staff for that particular 2 subcamps, and I'm not sure, no, I've not seen any for any other subcamps.
He did them in 2005 too.
Okay.
Yeah, he did them for the 2013 and 17 Jamboree also.